Touchdown, Alabama, let's get it.
The process, no one can stop this. Hottest show in the streets, I bet you can't top this. Rammer, jammer, yellow hammer, come see how we rock this. Alabama fans the best, there's no way you can top this. Recruiting news and interviews, just sit back and watch this.
Recruiting news and interviews, just sit back and watch this.
The process.
Hey everyone, welcome back into The Process, Crimson Tide Recruiting. I am your host, Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. You know what I need you to do first really quickly? Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Subscribers, hit the notification bell. Be notified when we drop content on our YouTube channel. I'm here each week to break down the latest of Crimson Tide football recruiting news. And on today's episode, I want to preview the month of July, which has an opportunity to be a pretty big month on the recruiting trail for the Crimson Tide. I know that Alabama is on fire right now, picking up 2 commitments on Sunday from Tony Mitchell and Brayson Hubbard. I know Alabama fans are excited to see what the future will hold as the Tide's 2023 recruiting class continues to grow at a rapid pace. I know I said on last Tuesday's episode that the Crimson Tide's 2023 recruiting class was set to take off. And to be honest with you, Tony Mitchell and Brayson Hubbard were not 2 guys that I was pointing towards. Maybe Tony Mitchell because he released that Final 4, and when guys release those Final 4s, anything under a Final 6, I would say a commitment decision could come from them in the near future. But I still feel the Tide could have a huge month of July. We're going to discuss a little bit of why I feel that way on this episode of The Process. I do have a couple of quick recruiting updates to hit on. First one will be surrounding the Crimson Tide's 4-star edge rusher target, Bay Joe, by the Community Christian School in Oklahoma. He recently released his Final 3, actually earlier today, released a Final 3 and included Alabama, Michigan State, and he also included the Oklahoma Sooners. Of course, looking at Oklahoma, he's not originally from Oklahoma, but he's playing his high school football in Oklahoma after transferring from Senegal, and he's transferring from Senegal and moving to the United States of America as an exchange student. Now he plays his football at Community Christian School. Released that Final 3, actually unofficially visited Alabama earlier this month, camped in Tuscaloosa. That camp experience looked to be a good one. He did take an official visit to Michigan State this month, and it looks as if the Spartans are in a good position to land the 4-star edge rusher. But we will see what will happen, as it looks as if a decision will come soon from Bay Jobe. He said on his Twitter yesterday, he tweeted that a decision will most likely come from him this week or next week. At least he will make a decision. Most likely will make it public as well. So that is the next Alabama target who we are paying close attention to in terms of guys who have announcements scheduled. But with scheduled announcements, they are not the only thing to pay attention to, and I think Tony Mitchell and Brayson Hubbard are perfect examples of that. Both of those guys did not have a commitment date set, but they announced their verbal commitments and announced their decisions, which came off as a surprise to many. One guy whose commitment will not come off as a surprise is Dylan Lonergan, the Crimson Tide's 4-star quarterback target out of Georgia. Is set to announce his commitment on July 12th. He actually pushed his commitment date back a week. He was originally set to announce his commitment on July 5th. He's going to push it back another week. He will most likely choose from Stanford, South Carolina, in the Crimson Tide. He took an official visit to Alabama earlier this month. He told me that the fact that the Crimson Tide have a commitment from Eli Holstein, the 4-star quarterback out of Zachary High School, that fact will not impact his decision. He said he was sort of worried about that heading into his official visit earlier this month, but after taking that official visit, he feels comfortable going to Alabama along with Eli Holstein if that is the decision that he will make. So he was definitely a prospect to keep your eyes on. I know the Tide missed out on Arch Manning, but they were keeping the door open to adding another quarterback, and Dylan Lonergan is their other quarterback target. Just looking at this 2023 recruiting class, I'm going to keep saying if the Crimson Tide only signed 4-star quarterback Eli Holstein, they would be in a good position, but it looks as if they are definitely going to keep that door open for just another week or so. I think it will most likely be just for Dylan Lonergan if they want to add another quarterback in this 2023 recruiting class. Another Alabama target who recently released a commitment date is 5-star offensive lineman Francis Maigoa out of IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. The 6'5", 330-pounder will announce his commitment on the 4th of July. He took an official visit to Alabama earlier this month, took several official visits throughout the month of June. Actually has a top 6 at the moment. Of course, the Tide is in the top 6 along with Florida, Hawaii, USC, Miami, and Tennessee. The Tide hosted them for that official visit. The official visit looked to have been a great one. So we'll see how his recruitment plays out heading into that decision. The Tide are looking at a long list of top offensive lineman targets, top tackle prospects, and Francis Moigor is definitely one of those guys. They would love to have him on board along with guys like Miles McVay, like Olas Elanin, Caden Proctor, to go along with the massive offensive linemen who they currently have verbally committed in Wilkin Formby. So Francis Moigor out of IMG Academy will announce his commitment on July 4th. We'll pay close attention to what his decision will be. Another Alabama target we are going to continue to pay close attention to is Malik Benson. He's the guy who's going to announce his commitment the day after Francis Moigor on July 5th. And Malik Benson, I think he's one of those guys we're going to try to keep at the forefront of Alabama fans' mind, because I think the Tide really like this kid. They hosted him for an official visit, and I just feel they are in a great position with him heading into his upcoming decision. Of course, he officially visited several schools this month, visited Georgia, visited Tennessee. He's had an opportunity to get out to some of those programs to see what all they have to offer. So Malik Benson is one of the Crimson Tide's top overall targets in the 2023 recruiting class. Whenever you're looking at a JUCO prospect, you're looking at prospects you want to come in and make an immediate impact, and I think Malik Benson is one of those guys. We're now going to turn our attention to Peter Woods, the 5-star defensive end out of Thompson High School in Alabaster, Alabama, who's also set to announce his commitment pretty soon. On July 8th, he will choose between the Crimson Tide. Also going to take a look at the Clemson Tigers and a couple of other programs like Florida and Oklahoma and Jackson State as well. Matter of fact, Jackson State took Oklahoma's spots in his top 4, but in his final 4. So we'll see what his decision will be on July 8th. I think it is interesting to talk about him at this point in this recruitment because his teammate Tony Mitchell, 5-star defensive back, verbally committed to the Crimson Tide on Sunday, which was a bit surprising because Mitchell had previously said that he was going to continue to enjoy his recruitment a little bit. Peter Woods looked like the guy who was going to announce his commitment before his senior season. He made those plans clear. It looked as if Tony Mitchell was going to be the guy who was going to be open, not committed, while Peter Woods committed in a couple of weeks here. But looks as if things were sort of switched around, and Tony Mitchell announced his commitment on Sunday, and we looks as if Peter Woods will announce his on July 8th. I think the Tide are still in a great position. I still will predict that Alabama will land Peter Woods. After they picked up Tony Mitchell, I feel even more confident about that pick. So we'll see what happens on July 8th. My picks is still that the Crimson Tide will land 5-star defensive end Peter Woods, just based on the relationship they have developed with him. I know he took official visits to Florida and Clemson during the summer, but I think the Tide have created a gap between those other schools just based on how many times they have hosted Woods and relationship they have built with them. So I feel confident in choosing the Tide at this point heading into his decision on July 8th. Now I'm going to bring up a graphic which lists the Alabama targets who are expected to announce their commitments on next month. Of course, I talked about Peter Woods earlier in the show. Malik Benson, you also have Dylan Lonergan. Those guys are set to announce their commitments earlier next month, but there are a couple of guys who announce their commitments a little later in the month. We can take a look at Malik Bryant, the 4-star linebacker who's set to play his senior season at Jones High School after previously playing at IMG Academy. Crimson Tide looks to be in a strong position with him heading into his July 23rd commitment. You also have Raul Acquire, the physical headhunter linebacker out of Georgia, who the Crimson Tide are recruiting, who will announce his commitment on July 16th. But those are the guys at the moment who have commitment dates scheduled. A lot of these guys are most likely going to start announcing out of the blue. There's a chance that we see a lot of that. We saw it with Brayson Hubbard. We saw it with Tony Mitchell as well. There's still a lot of room for that to happen in the future. So here are a couple of guys to watch over the next month. Guys who I feel are close to announcing like top 2, top 3, top 4, want to make that the next step in their recruitment, which is usually followed by commitment dates, or guys who have previously said they want to announce a commitment before their senior seasons begin. So you have guys like Olas Elanin, who previously said he wants to take all of his official visits in June, hopes to be done before his senior season begins. That is still a possibility, but it all depends on how he feels after after everything wraps up. Makari Vickers is a guy who officially visited Alabama a couple of weekends ago. The Crimson Tide are still in a strong position with the 4-star defensive back out of Florida. He told me that the next step in his recruitment is to drop a top 2 or top 3, and with that being the next step in his recruitment, I predict a decision could come from him after that. I also have Caleb Downs, 5-star defensive back out of Georgia, one of the top defensive back prospects in the nation. The Tide hosted him for an official visit. He took a lot of official visits in June. I think that is another hint in terms of guys who could announce their commitments this summer, guys who have blocked in several and taken several official visits throughout the summer. Those guys have an opportunity, I feel, to announce their commitment decisions before their senior seasons begin. So here's the list I will definitely keep my eyes on if I was an Alabama fan in terms of guys who have not announced commitment dates, but guys who could announce a commitment pretty soon. Bay Job is also on that list. But that is what I wanted to bring up to you guys today. I feel the Crimson Tide are on pace to have a big month next month. They are closing June very strong. The Tide's 2023 recruiting class has the potential to be a really good one, off to a nice start after they picked up some great momentum over the weekend. As always, I am Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama. Before you leave, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, be notified when we drop content on our YouTube channel. Head to touchdowналabama.com, pick up your subscription today. With that subscription, you will be able to read all of our subscriber only articles, get your hands on our yearly print magazine issue as well. Then head to the Google Play Store if you have an Android device to download the Touchdown Alabama app. If you have that Apple device, go to the Apple App Store to download the app. Thank you guys so much for watching and enjoying the process.